Hello there, well I'm Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and today I'm going to make a napkin ring out of a leaf cut shapes of felt. Now I love felt, and felt is hot this year. You're going to see lots of tables set with felt type stuff. So let's get started. I have my sewing machine set up with red because one of the colours that I am contrasting through is I'm contrasting through with red table mats. So yeah, it's a good place to start, and it's a good way to tie it in. What I have here is I have one big green leaf, if that makes sense. And what I'm doing is, first of all, I'm sewing a smaller leaf on it, and I'm sewing it on by doing the veins of the leaf. So very much a case of going backwards, going forwards, and you know, we're getting that definite sort of star pattern. So yes, a little bit tedious, and it does help if you either have a machine where you can control the speed quite easily, or you have a machine that sets quite slow, so you know, because sometimes we're just doing one stitch and then we're changing direction. Now this sort of thing does work very well if you're doing hand sewing, but obviously it's not in my nature, hand sewing, so I do try and avoid it. Alright, so that's one leaf on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the main vein off, and then I can sew up the first leaf so that I can then sew on another leaf. And basically what I'm aiming for is a strip that's at least 4 inches long, and then we can either hand sew them into a circle, which would be slightly easier, or we can try and continue this sew round to the back so that we've got sewn all the way round. And one thing that I am trying to do is I'm trying to make this look continuous. This is why I'm sometimes sewing over a part that I've already sewn. Alright, well I am getting there, believe it or not. One of the things that make a felt look so good is if we can try and keep these sharp points. Now, okay, I can see that I've failed quite dismally already, so I am going to just trim that afterwards with a pair of really sharp scissors. Now I'm back on the main vein of the green leaf, and I'm just sewing it over again. Now we could use greaseproof paper or something like that, just to draw out the lines first. It's entirely up to you, entirely what you're confident with. Now I'm not, because I think it would be more harm than good for me, but you know, it is personal preference. So now I'm following the main vein right off the end of the leaf, and I'm going to just pick up that first leaf and maybe sew slightly out of the way of it. Okay, I'm going to leave my needle down and I'm going to sew on this orange leaf. Now you can see that I've come off slightly, and that's fine. I do want it quite concise. I want to end up with a rectangle that's 2 centimetres by probably, 2 inches by probably 5 inches. But if I do come off the main body and just do a bit of sewing, that's fine. There's no problem there. Okay, so let's take that down there, and then I'm going to sew back onto the main body. And because I've gone off the side slightly with this orange one, I'm going to make sure that the next leaf is more in line. Okay, so again I'm going to leave my needle down, and I'm going to start sewing on the stalk end so that we can continue doing the veins. So 180 degrees round, up to halfway down, and then I'm going to go out again. And then back to the main. So very, very easy. And away we go. Now, to join it up at the end is going to be tricky, because obviously the smaller we have this, the better, but it does need doing. So, I'm going to stop sewing now. I'm going to make sure that the top of my arm is right at the top so that I can freely pull this out without stretching it, and I'm just going to trim these ends of thread. Now really, this would be the point where it would be very good if you could do a little bit of hand sewing, because what I want to do is I want to take the longest point to the longest point of the bottom, and I want to do a couple of stitches. And I can put it in the sewing machine if you want to. It really is just, it's going to be fiddly. The smaller things are, the fiddlier they are. So let's just do that, and that's nice and firm. And if you can do it so that you cover it with one little leaf, then that would look so much better. So we can just, the last little leaf is just joining them on, but you can see that I've got it all scrunched up so that I can actually sew round the other end. Okay, let's take that out again. Let's get rid of that. And obviously I'm going to have to trim all these ends so that it's nice and clear. And I spoke when we first started the video about to keep these points sharp, and I managed to pull off the fluff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim that. And there's my threads at the back. And there we are. All I need now is a napkin to put in my leaf inspired napkin ring holder. Well, thank you so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee.